Rise before the sun. It's that time of year. Load up my gun.
Welcome back to the Healthy Hunter Show. I am Dr. Brooks Tiller, and today I am pumped about this. Is the one guy that I really wanted to have whenever I first thought of this whole podcast thing. But this guy grew up and he played various sports, but he really excelled in the combat sports and became a professional MMA fighter in 2001. In 2004, he joined the Army. He completed Ranger School, and he has completed numerous deployments overseas. He earned the Army's Bronze Star Medal with V Device, which has awarded for valor under fire. He participated in the MMA competitively, even while in the military. He retired from MMA in 2017. His professional record was 18-6. But only a few months after retiring, he announced that he was going to re-enlist into the U.S. Army Special Forces. He's part of the History Channel television series Hunting Hitler, and he's also hosted and starred in Hard to Kill, where he puts himself in super dangerous situations to educate and show others how to survive. He's Ranger qualified. He's a Green Beret. He's a Special Forces sniper, a sniper instructor, principal combatives instructor. He's had tours in Iraq, Afghanistan, and many other undisclosed locations around the globe. He is one of the toughest men that I've ever been able to meet. But more than that, he is a father, he's a fighter, he's a writer, he's a warrior, and he is a patriot. I'm proud to be on the same side as this guy. I'm glad he's one of the good guys, and he's on our side. It is an honor today to welcome Mr. Tim Kennedy to the Healthy Hunter Show. Thank you for coming on, sir.
Dude, that was a sick intro. There's nothing I can say now that lives up to that intro, so I'm just gonna
No, you live a life that is far beyond that, and that's one thing I really appreciate about you. And I would like to say, people that may have seen you on TV, they've seen you in the octagon, they've seen you in commercials or videos, whatever, doing some amazing things. But meeting you in person was an honor, because you're just a guy, and you're just super humbled and honest, and you're very approachable, and I really appreciate that. And I'm really thankful that when we got to meet, you took time to send my cousin, who is a law enforcement officer in these crazy times. You spent time to send him a message, and that meant a lot to him, and it meant a lot to me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad was a long time, 33-year police officer. My brother has been a police officer for, almost 20 years now. So I actually went to the police academy myself before I enlisted. When I first started fighting, I was figuring, I wanted to go to blah, 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 blah. But 9/11 happened and changed kind of the trajectory of my life. But yeah, it's tough times to be a police officer right now. I'm sure you can say, from personal experience, like I can. I don't know any bad ones. I know they're out there, but what I know is the most selfless servants of their communities, my dad and my brother, and their friends that they do things that I would never imagine being able to do. Like my brother had a guy that was trying to commit suicide by cop. He's like taking a gun, he's like pointing at the cops, and it's like, man, let me tell you what happens if you point a gun at me. Yeah. My brother was able to talk him off the ledge essentially. And, it's just amazing seeing the sacrifices and the risks that they take just to protect Joe Blow, ungrateful asshole. Yeah. So it's, I realize we have an imperfect system that we're trying to fix, and we've been trying to fix it, and we keep trying to make changes to it, and we're going to keep doing that. But, I'm just proud to have family like those guys.
Yeah, as am I. And it's one of those things you're grateful for. Like you said, we see the good ones, but it's oftentimes, no matter what profession, whatever we're looking at, it's the bad ones that get blown up by the media.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, in everything,
yeah.
I have, from my unit, I had a guy that tried to smuggle back cocaine from Colombia. Navy SEALs have dudes that kill guys while they're in handcuffs and then write books about it.
Yeah.
And Navy SEALs and Green Beret, in my opinion, are the most incredible humans on the planet. So when you got a bad apple occasionally, you know, even in groups like that, like nobody is above. Nobody's perfect.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And I mean, I see it in the medical field all the time. You've got people that are not doing what they're supposed to do. Your whole thing is let's protect people. Let's help them get better. And, you know, it's just a paycheck. It's just something that we're just checking off the list. So, you know, like I said, the bad apple sometimes can ruin it. But on the plus side, one thing I want to know from you is what's something you're grateful for today?
So I've had an awesome day. Right now, I'm sitting here in Normatec
Yes.
boots. I had a horrific workout with some really great dudes, and they pushed me. That was. It's rare that I find an athlete that can hang, and I had 4 of them today, so that was cool. And then I came home, and this the sunglass company that I work with, Roca, they're like, hey, can you shoot a video that's like talks about why you like our sunglasses? And I was like, well, I was about to go in the backyard and do some archery practice, and I got a new boar spear. And I'm like, I will go back. I'm gonna like work on throwing my spear and shooting my bow, and we'll see how the glasses do. And so I had a fun day because I literally like ran into my back property and started running around with a boar spear and a bow and arrow, shooting things. I built like a 360 archery range back there, but now all of my styrofoam archery targets have like big old gouge marks in them from my spear. So
yeah, it doesn't get better than that. Just doing something you
it's
love.
a good day.
That's awesome. Yep. That's awesome. You know, and I know that you're an outdoorsman. You love the outdoors. You're an expert marksman. But how did you first get involved and interested in the outdoors, and how did it grow into what it is today?
So I grew up in California, and I think when people think California, they think, you know, the beach, Hollywood, LA, San Francisco, San Diego. I grew up in a city of like 15,000 people, and it was broken into kind of like 3 different groups. But you knew everybody. Like you knew everybody at the high school. You knew everybody in all the churches. And across the street from my house was this creek that ran year round. And during the like winter and spring, it would just overflow and bust the edges of the creek. And we would jump off the bridge with paddle boards, or at the time boogie boards, and like the most reckless thing that will absolutely get kids killed. I'm not telling you to do that, but we were like, oh look, a log like the size of a VW bus is going down. Let's see if we can like jump on top of it, you know. And I think I was like 6 at the time. You know, we'd like tie ropes around us and jump off, and our friends would try to pull us back up. And we're like being dragged down the current as like logs are bouncing off our head. Well, that was, you know, we're by hand trying to catch crawfish. We're by hand trying to catch catfish. We're, you know, paintballing, no glasses. It was absolute savagery, Lord of the Flies. And that was my yard, you know, like that's just how we grew up. We try to catch deer by like we'd put feeders out and would try to jump on top of deer. And this was like, you know, a Tuesday after school. Like if our homework was done, it's like, all right, let's see, you know, like, are we going to catch a crawdad? We're going to catch crawfish, or we're going to catch catfish, or we're going to catch a deer. Let's see how many raccoons we can get in one weekend. Like that happened, you know, like, have you ever fought 4 raccoons? I did.
No. I fought 1. I didn't want to do any more.
No, they're frightening.
Yeah. It might be worse than fighting you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're smaller, but they have way more, you know, tenacity.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a perfect childhood. I mean, that to me, it's like, that's the kind of childhood, you know, my wife and I were talking about the childhood we want to develop. It's like, that is it. And I think that that love of the outdoors, if we instill that as young kids into a young kid, let them run wild, run free, go play, I think that is the best way to encourage an outdoor lifestyle throughout the rest of their days.
Well, I mean, smart ones, and you have to cultivate, because everything that they need to know to be successful and everything they could ever do exists there, like science, engineering, biology, being able to understand what was happening with the topography and the weather systems and low pressure. And like we would come home with real questions. And fortunately I had brilliant parents that, when we're talking about trying to catch a deer and why my parents wouldn't let us kill it, besides that it was illegal because it was city land, it was talking about conservation and, like being where we were, who is actually responsible for picking, what lines are going to survive for the next season. And that's not going to be a 9-year-old boy with a spear,
Yeah.
That's, and understanding the bigger picture of ecology and how it all worked. So yeah, the outdoors, I think people dismiss outdoorsmen, in a really ignorant way. Maybe they hear an accent, or they hear they're from Alabama or Louisiana or Florida. And I mean, right now, especially, like if you're from Florida, you're like, oh, these people are stupid.
Yeah. Or you talk like I do, it's like,
yeah, which couldn't be further from the truth. Some of the most incredibly scientific brains I've ever had the opportunity to work with, Department of Forestry, matter of fact, the Texas Fish and Wildlife, one of their wardens, one of their game wardens, he and I had a fun brush together trying to track down a poacher. I've talked to this dude, and I was like, oh, so you have a PhD. You are out here like breaking brush with me, and you went to an Ivy League university, a private, and like, why are you doing this? He's like, because this matters, and I'm identical childhood to mine, except he grew up in West Texas, but the same thing. He would come home, he'd finish his homework, his mom would put him outside, she'd lock the door at 3, and he'd come back in at sunset. And now he's like doing everything that he should be doing as a human, contributing back to the bigger picture, and brilliant, and happy, most importantly.
That's probably the most important. And I think that being outdoors, just being out there, seeing the sunrise, seeing the sunset, just spending time getting your feet and your hands dirty, that just brings happiness, I think, to more people than they realize.
Yeah. One of the most striking things that has come from COVID, they're talking about vitamin D deficiency with like the vast majority of everybody that dies of COVID. One, not correlations, causation, but of everyone that died in this specific study, it was like 98% were vitamin D deficient. And it's like, what does that tell us? There's a reason that we were made, with opposing thumbs, and that we're bipedal, that we can stand up, and that we can walk, and that we can run. It's because we're supposed to do those things, right? Like if you're sitting in front of a computer monitor for the 8 hours out of your day on your butt, and then you come home and you play video games on your iPad, on your PlayStation, on your Xbox, like not just the disservice that you're doing to yourself and your body and your soul and your mind, but like also like the bigger picture. Like if we're talking about like the collective, if we're throwing stones at people for not wearing masks, like the individual that doesn't go outside and exercise, to me, is just as bad as that person that doesn't wear a mask. And like they're the one that are perpetuating the sickness, that are ultimately succumbing to the illness. And it's selfishness, and it's laziness, and it's like, come on, man, like go get some freaking sun. You will feel so good. Like you can ask my 5-year-old, like, hey man, you've had a bad day, what should you do? He's like, I should go outside and I should exercise. I was like, that's right, you're a very smart young man, let's go outside and exercise. Like trampoline, slide, swing, and to him exercise is play, to me exercise is exercise. But it like sweat heals everything, and it prevents you from everything. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, man, I feel like a big turd today. And then next thing I know, I'm like, all right, let's go outside and run around. you're out there for 2 minutes and you're like, woohoo, this
Yeah.
is the life. And and you
Yeah.
forget, like, oh, even I forget. I'm like, oh yeah, get outside. Who cares how hot or cold it is? Just get outside for a little bit and soak up the sunshine. And I think that's a great point, because we don't realize the health benefits, I think, sometimes that come along with being outside. The vitamin D, just the movement. We were made to move.
Yeah. We don't understand, you're right, about all of the things that it does to us. Like I have been, so when I got blown up, I had like a few days to get my act together before I had to go back to work. In combat zone, horrible thing. The medic, he's like, hey, or the doctor, you got some time. I want you to sleep 8 hours. I want you to exercise for 2 hours, and I want you to walk around outside with your shoes and socks off for an hour. I was like, super weird, man. Like, I don't, I'm a green, like I'm a hard charging, killing superhero. I think an indestructible superhero. And in truth, I was like the most fragile, broken vessel, because I wasn't doing all the things I should have been doing. My grandpa and my uncles, I remember, like, no matter how, if I went to my grandpa's house, and he lived in Cambria, California, right on the beach. I was like 16 years old. My girlfriend broke up with me, which is the worst thing that could happen to a 16-year-old. I crashed my motorcycle. I failed a test. Insert anything that was bad at the moment. He'd sit there and he'd be listening to me as he's moving and grabbing his car keys and grabbing a beach towel and grabbing his chair. And I'm still, and I'm like, I'm walking with him as I'm explaining how bad something is. And he's in the active practice of fixing what's wrong with me. I just don't realize it yet. Then we get in the car. It's a 2-minute drive to the beach. I'm still complaining. I'm whining. I'm asking him to fix what's, the patriarch of my family, fix this thing. And he's not going to fix the thing. He's going to fix me. And we just walk right out into the beach. He sits the chair down right as the water is kind of like at the shore. And he's like, hey, just go out into the break for a few minutes and let's come back and talk to you about it. So go out into the break, 5 minutes. I come back from the water and the worry's gone. The stress is gone. The depression has melted away. Like a fart in the wind, whatever was there, now it's like, now we can solve things. Whatever that problem was, it's not insurmountable. And chemically, my body is now in a position to like fix it. No matter what he could have said 10 minutes ago, like he could have been like, all right, here's how you're going to do it. A, B, and C, Yahtzee equals D, solution. It would have like water off a duck's back, oil and water, because like the vessel's broken. But the ocean, the sun, the sand, the grass, all of those things, there's something magical, like it heals a soul, and it makes a man happy.
And it's interesting what you were talking about. That's that pawpaw wisdom, like I like to call it. The grandpa, that pawpaw wisdom, sometimes that I think we're blessed if we have that. And I think that's one of those great things I know I had, and you were just talking about it. And speaking of that pawpaw wisdom, how are you passing some of that on to your kids and to other people?
Yeah. Well, I try to be a completely open book. I realize not a lot of people were as fortunate as me to have a dad like I had, and to have a grandpa like I had, have uncles, fought in Vietnam, that, became lawyers. And I mean, like, just everywhere I looked, I saw success and I saw wisdom. So I try to make myself accessible and be able to pass those things out in open form, whether it's on social media or it's, in every interaction that I have, I'm trying to divvy those little things out for my family, for my kids, for, my son last night. He's doing like a gymnastics summer camp for 4 hours, like tumbling and parkour, tuck unders and backflips, forward flips, trampoline stuff. And and he comes home exhausted. So we go into the pool, we play, we come back in, have dinner. I was like, hey, bud, you got to go to bed. He's 5. And, you got another early day. You're going to have a lot of activity tomorrow. You need your sleep. Let's eat a big dinner and go to bed. So we put him to bed a little bit early, but he couldn't go to sleep, right? He had like so much activity during the day, and he's excited about tomorrow. And he wants to, like, he's already asking about the flips, but he's so tired. He's like, is there a monster in my closet? No, let's turn the light on. Let's look. There's nothing in here. And then, he's like, Daddy, come. So I go in there, and he has this big stuffed bear and this big stuffed giraffe. And he goes, Dad, the giraffe is looking at me. And I was like, your stuffed giraffe is looking at you? He's like, yeah. Like, do you want me to take it out? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, let's talk about rational fear and irrational fear. And this is with a 5-year-old at 8:30 p.m. at night, who is like so beyond rational logic, but we're going to do it right then and there. I was like, what is he made of? He's like, what do you mean? Like, your giraffe, what is he made of? He's like, I don't know, fluff and fur. Like, well, it's not fur. Like, it's cloth and stuffing. What else in here is made of stuff, like cloth and stuffing? Is it your blanket? He's like, yeah. I'm like, is your blanket scary? He's like, no. Like, is your pillow scary? Well, it's also made of cloth and stuffing. Is your baby Yoda scary? Like, no. I'm like, all right, so irrational fear or rational fear? Let's talk about your giraffe. Irrational fear. Like, I could not agree more. If you want me to take it out, I absolutely will. But I'm also just going to kick it. So I did like a back donkey kick, and like flew up and it fell over. I'm like, and I'm still just looking at him dead in the eyes. I'm like, did you see him move? He's like, no. I'm like, do you think if it was anything besides stuffing and cloth that it could take a back hit to the face? Like, no. I'm like, so are we good? Lights out, and he's immediately asleep. And that's like a micro example of like everything that I treat him like an adult, and I treat both. I have teenage daughters. One of them's just graduated and she's off to college, a senior in high school. And then I have the 5-year-old and I have the 9-month-old, which you might have just heard screaming in the background. But I treat them all like rational creatures, and I respect them, and I'm patient with them, and I communicate them like adults. I was like, let's talk about this. Let's be responsible and figure out how to solve this problem.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I have 2, and that's kind of the way I'm always looking at it. It's like, all right, what, don't treat them like a baby, because then they'll always be a baby, I guess. And
Yeah.
when it talks about getting outdoors, I love to get outside and do things. And like you said, that's a great way to explain the difference between like a rational fear and irrational fear. And those kind of things are great examples. I really appreciate the way that you're passing that on. I think that, like you said, a lot of us are not fortunate enough to have a dad or granddad that was there, uncles. I was, but I know a lot of people weren't. And so we kind of covered a little bit of your outdoor background. But I mean, respectfully, you're one of the guys I would not want to meet in a dark alley. You are, like you said, there's not a lot of guys who probably keep up with you fitness realm. And that's because you've pushed it and you've done a lot of hard things in your life. And I would like to know a little bit about your fitness routine and maybe how you got involved into fitness and health and how that evolved through your life into what you're doing now.
So fitness for me, I mean, started the same age as my 8-month and 9-month-old. Like, she may not know it, but she's doing fitness stuff. When I'm giving her a little PVC barbell, or I'm putting things in her way that she has to climb over, like that's just kind of welcome to life. For me, it was the same. There was never like an emphasis on exercise. The emphasis was always on what we are doing. So for me, being a martial artist, being a wrestler, being a boxer, being a kickboxer, being an athlete, like I had to be in shape. And like, it wasn't my dad saying, okay, this is your dedicated gym time. It was performance, merit based everything. There was, and currently now at 40 years old, everything I do training wise is solely for the purpose of performance in what I need to be able to do in life. When my wife asks me, Like, why are you programming this way? Or why are you training this way? You know, it's my son and I were climbing up a deer stand 3 days ago, and he wanted to come down, and it's a tall one. I mean, it's probably 25 feet, steel tripod based deer stand. And I go down before him. I'm like 2 or 3 rungs below him, and I don't know what he was thinking. There was kind of a gust of wind, but he wasn't holding on with any hand. He was looking down where he was going to put his feet, but he hadn't turned around, and so he fell. And I had one hand on the rung, and the other hand, I grab his kind of shoulder arm. And, you know, he's a 5-year-old, you know, a 50-pound kid. So I'm holding up 220 pounds with one hand, and then an additional 50 pounds with one hand. Like, you want to ask what the hell I train for? It's for that. You know, it might take me a second to get out of these Normatec boots, but like a Velociraptor on cocaine walks through that door right now. It's like, if a Velociraptor could have cocaine and could talk, and it's like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and kill your family. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to take off those really sharp claws of yours. I'm going to stab you in the eye. I'm going to eat you for dinner. Like, I don't care what comes through that door. I'm going to be physically capable of doing whatever it is. I also believe that everything about the human condition is elevated by how your body can perform. Like a smart person that needs to think quickly on their feet cannot do it if they cannot be on their feet. You know, if you look at every single elite unit on the planet, from Ranger Regiment to the Green Berets to the Navy SEALs to Delta Force, like the only commonality that you have between them is that they are good at the basics and they're in good shape. Like, these are wicked smart people that can do the most unbelievable things that are absolutely superhuman. And one of the main fundamental cornerstones about who they are as an individual is their physical shape. Yeah.
Yeah.
So be in shape.
Yeah. I like that. And on that is, and this is one of the questions, you know, I pinged my cousin. I was like, hey, I got Tim Kennedy coming on. Give me a couple of questions. And one he want to know is how you would recommend your ratio of training. And whether it be for a hunter, for law enforcement, military, how would you break up your ratio of training with your firearms, with your strength, with your cardio and endurance? What would you recommend from your personal experience?
So I shoot 2 times a week. I think if you shoot any less than that, you are there's going to be atrophy in skill. That's an absolutely, it's a perishable skill. Fitness wise, I do HIIT twice a week. So like a high intensity CrossFit-ish type program. Like today we did a filthy 50. So 50 reps of 9 different exercises after a 20-minute warm up. So it was like 50 burpees, 50 pull-ups, 50 calories on the rower, 50 snatches, 50 deadlifts, 50 handstand push-ups. You know, so about 38 minutes of total work with a 20-minute warm-up, 58 minutes total, and high-fiving, we're out the door. Like, that's a pretty horrible day. Yesterday was a cardio day. It was 3,500 meters on the rower, 3,500 meters on the skier, 350 calories on the bike, and then a 25-minute EMOM of 5 push-ups, 5 sit-ups, a sit-through, a burpee, a box jump, 5 push-ups, a sit-through, 5 sit-ups, a burpee, and a box jump, and you're done. Every minute on the minute for 25 minutes. So total, an hour and 15 minutes of aerobic baseline. Monday was a type 2 big explosive power development day. And then Tuesday was a hypertrophy day. Tomorrow is active recovery. So I'm going to be doing hot yoga in the morning, grappling midday, and then flying helicopters for 2 hours. So I shoot twice a week. I'm out in the back with the bow once or twice a week. I train 6 days a week. and the day, I say 6 days a week, the day that's off is family. And that is absolutely active recovery. So that's swimming, that's paddle boarding, that is water skiing, that is hanging from a helicopter, trying to shoot Roman candles at my son. That is, that really happened. You know,
Yeah, you're not just sitting on the couch eating Twinkies and ho-hos.
no, there are no Twinkies or ho-hos in this house. And we debated getting rid of our couches.
I like that. I like that. Yeah. Well, my wife just said she want to get rid of our couch, and so I'm all for it. She wants to buy another one, but I'm thinking just get rid of it and then not buy another one. We'll see if I don't know if that'll work or not, but but yeah.
The only time we use it is when like guests come over. And
exactly.
Like,
yeah.
I'd rather have guests that are outside playing in the pool with me.
Yeah. I think the only time we use this one is whenever one of the kids wakes up in the middle of the night. My wife's like, "Can y'all just go sleep on the couch so I can sleep?" Not enough room in the bed for all of us. But yeah, no, that's awesome. And I really appreciate everything that you've done just for our country and for the people that, people like you have kept this country free, but the influence that you've had, the impact you've had on so many people, you've encouraged them to get outdoors and to hunt and fish and just be outside and also to stay fit and healthy. And you've been an inspiration to many people. And I really appreciate that. And one thing that I always like to ask is a dream hunt. So you get to go, there's no rules, no limitations. Anybody you want to take, you get to go anywhere and you get to hunt and go on any kind of adventure that you want. So where are you going? What are you going after? And probably most importantly, who are you taking with you?
Oh yeah, it would be a bundle push military free fall insertion into Montana, Utah for elk. And so everything I need, want, or have is getting pushed out in a small little bundle out of the back of a fixed wing aircraft, and I am jumping out after it, and I'm flying down with it. I'm landing, I'm recovering, I'm breaking it down, and then I'm hunting. I would want Jocko, Joe Rogan, Evan Hafer, and our families. Yeah.
Wow. That would be one of the most amazing hunts, just amazing time, just with the people you just named, because I would say that's some of the elite of the elite.
Yeah, they're go-getters too.
Yeah. There would be no slacking there.
No.
Up early and charging hard all day.
Yeah, I'm sure you've experienced it. Like when you go and do things, and like you've been out hunting, and then you come back, and it's like, oh, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and prep for dinner, and then after dinner, you're like, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and clean the cast iron, and then it's like, oh, you guys aren't prepping anything for breakfast. I see. I'll go ahead and put the grind in the percolator, and like that's the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But when you go with people that know what to do, that perform at a high level, and have that self kind of initiative, everything is easy. Like everything's fun because everybody's doing it automatically. It's like, all right, Jocko whacked an epic elk. Like we're all elbows deep, cleaning it, gutting it, skinning it, like trophy, not trophy, coal, whatever. Like everybody knows what to do, and packing it in salt. Let's see if like we can have some chicken fried elk by tomorrow night. Yeah,
that would be awesome. Yeah. And that's the thing is about, whenever you have great people around you, it does lift you up and makes everything better.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I really, I appreciate about you, just how great you are and how inspiring you are to everybody. Would you please just share a little bit, socials and how we can just be inspired more by you and what you're doing?
Man, I'm too old and too dumb to change. So like, if you like what I do, there's going to be a lot more of it for the next 40 years. Everything for me is Tim Kennedy or Tim Kennedy MMA. They're all verified. You know, like Instagram, it's Tim Kennedy MMA. Facebook, it's Tim Kennedy. Twitter, it's Tim Kennedy MMA. Parler, it's Tim Kennedy. YouTube, it's Tim Kennedy MMA. I'm starting to do a lot more on YouTube. I'm gonna start streaming a little bit on Twitch. Do you know what Twitch is?
Yeah. I just got it. I just started.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I had a buddy. He was like, "Yeah, man, you should be doing like your videos and stuff on Twitch." And I was like, "Isn't that video games?" And he's like, "No, man." So yeah, I'll find you on there when we get off here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just opened. I haven't streamed one time yet.
Well, that's what I just started today. I just downloaded today, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." So
yeah. Have you checked out Parler?
No, but I will.
So Parler it's Twitter, but they are not censoring any speech. As long as it's not hate. As long as it's not hate speech.
Yeah.
You can, like, if you post a picture of a gun, cool. If you post a picture of the Constitution, cool. If you post a picture of Black Lives Matter, cool. And I love that.
Yeah.
I keep on getting shadow banned on Twitter and Instagram. Like if I post a picture of me hunting, I'm shadow banned for a month.
Yeah. But put a picture of a burger from a restaurant and that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, the thing is I know that I appreciate the patriot side of you because you're fighting for freedom. And
I just want people to live it.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing is like, you know, some people say, "Oh, you should have freedom," but only if it's the way that I see it. And that's, I guess that's one of the problems. But anyway, yeah. So everybody, man, go follow Tim because he's a great guy. And you'll see his workouts. You'll see just him being an amazing patriot, an amazing guy. And man, I really appreciate and once again honor you and grateful that you're on that I'm on the same side as you. I guess that way should be the way. You're on the front lines and I'm back here just trying to support a little bit.
Proud to have you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hey everybody, stay humble, be hungry, and get healthy. Man, that was a great interview. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. But there's two things I want to leave you with that Tim and I didn't get to talk about. One is his company, Sheepdog Response. They help to teach us situational awareness, firearm safety, hand-to-hand combat, all the things that we need to know, things that a lot of people learn in the military that we may not know as civilians, things we need to know to keep our family safe and to be aware to keep out of situations that we could find ourselves in danger because it's around every corner these days, it seems. The second thing is we didn't get to talk about the Guardian Group. Now, the Guardian Group, they are fighting sex trafficking here in the United States. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that slavery today is at a higher number than it ever has been in the history of the world pretty much because we have a lot of slave trafficking, a lot of sex trafficking going on, and we have to fight that. And the Guardian Group brings some military elite guys and folks who are out there to take care of bad guys and make sure bad guys don't do bad things. That's what they're out there. They're fighting. They're fighting sex trafficking in the United States. So the Guardian Group and Sheepdog Response. Check them out. But man, thanks so much for listening in to the podcast. It was great. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Give Tim a follow. Let us know if you think about it. All right. Y'all have a good one.